This one got a little out of hand, so this is one you might want to watch if you usually skip my Get Ready with Me's.
Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. My next guest, a returning guest, you love her, Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch is back on. She's an immigration attorney with Lincoln-Goldfinch Law and, fellow Texan. How you doing, Kate?
Hey there, I am hanging in there. How about you?
Doing all right. Aren't you kind of down, sort of closer to the flooding than we are? Any of that impact you?
Yeah, well, I'm a couple of hours away from Kerrville. We had some flooding in Leander, very near Austin, but the big flood is still a couple of hours. But I've had friends impacted. It's such a tragedy.
Yeah, it's been a bummer all week. I really thought the numbers still wouldn't be going up here a week later. But let's get into immigration talk here, because it's been like watching a tennis match. We've been told that if you're a farm worker, that you're going to get an amnesty, and then you're not going to get an amnesty, and then you're going to get deported, and now you're not going to get deported. And I don't know where we stand on that. Is there going to be some group of illegal immigrants that are going to be protected from the mass deportations or not?
It's looking like no. We had one statement from Trump that we would protect longstanding farm workers, and now Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins came out in a statement and said, we won't be protecting farm workers. We want a 100% American workforce in the agricultural industry. And I see no indication in policy that farm workers will be protected. So that's where we are today.
So what would you recommend for people in that situation?
For people who are working on farms, it's the same advice that I have for any immigrant. It's consult with an attorney and find out if you qualify for some sort of way to get legal status if you're undocumented. There's lots of different ways that people can get legal status, some through employment, many through family, other through humanitarian options. For the owners of the farms and for the agriculture and the meat packing, the processors, those folks, I would strongly encourage them to continue talking to their lobby and their legislators, because I really do think it's, business interests. It's the powerful interests that move the needle. And there seems to be consensus amongst them that, of course, they need immigrant labor, and so they need to be shouting it from the rooftops.
What about the concern of the illegal immigrant that's like, I don't think I want to contact an attorney and start any process. I like being off the grid, and I don't want my name in any databases.
I think that that's a rare person. Certainly folks like that do exist, but I think what we're seeing more of are hardworking people who have a lot of time in the United States who are just deciding that they actually might want to self-deport, that they don't want to live in a country that would treat them like this. And it's really unfortunate. I know these people up close. They're very hardworking. They don't have a criminal history. Many of them do seek out legal status. I don't think there's a lot of people out there going, I just prefer to live in the shadows. The vast majority of the people that I know who are undocumented would do a whole heck of a lot if there were an opportunity for them to come out of the shadows. And that's actually a way that this government could earn a lot of money, is if we had immigration reform, we created a way for people to get legal status, they could pay fines and penalties, but if they were guaranteed safety and stepping forward, they would do it.
But we have that. It's called legal immigration.
No, we don't actually have that. Also, the Trump administration is going after people in the legal immigration process. So we don't have the safety. But we also don't have just a system in place where we can say, okay, good moral character, been here 10 years, paid their taxes, will pay a fine. There's no process for that person just by virtue of being here can get legal status. They have to get it through family, or they have to have been a crime victim. So there's some things that we can do, but we don't have an amnesty or an overall reform program. But Congress really ought to pass it, but they've got to start telling the truth about immigrants and the fact that we need immigrants in this country, and quit lying to people and tell them that we're suffering from some invasion and that every immigrant is a criminal, which isn't true. But as long as our conservative politicians keep campaigning on those messages and telling us that, then they can't go in and pass immigration reform, or they would be hypocritical.
Yeah, but you said we need to have a process by which people can fill out a few forms and pay a little bit of money and go jump through some hoops to be here legally, and that sounds like legal immigration.
I'm sure you understand the distinction. There are some people in this country who are here and they are undocumented, but they happen to be married to a U.S. citizen, or their kids turned 21, or they suffered a crime and they reported it, or they suffered human trafficking. So there's a certain section of folks who are undocumented who might qualify for legal status. What we don't have is a way to say, okay, we've got this population of undocumented people here. We need them here. We want the people who are not criminals to stay here and work because that's what our economy needs. So let's create a program, a pathway to legalization for those folks that says just by virtue of having been here, having good moral character, whatever the parameters we set, you can now come out of the shadows and get a work permit and be protected against deportation. That's what I'm talking about. And that we do not have, and we've needed it for a really long time.
So that's just like a line jumping program of legal immigration.
No, I wouldn't call it line jumping.
Well, there's immigrants that are waiting to come here legally, and they're doing the proper thing and following the process, and then these people who didn't are going to get rewarded and get to have legal status before the people who are doing it correctly.
I mean, I'm certain that if we had a legalization program, it would require that people have been in.
We have that. It's called legal immigration.
I mean, we had this conversation already twice. I just explained to you the difference between what current legal immigration is.
You know, I just like having fun with you. This is Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch from Lincoln-Goldfinch Law. Are you concerned about the recent ICE attacks are going to calcify public opinion against illegal immigrants?
I think the opposite, based on what I'm seeing. I mean, I get a lot of heat from both sides on my social media, so I think I have a pretty good gauge of where people are. So as far as I can gauge, the majority of people are pretty grossed out by the way ICE is behaving with the masking and the plain clothes and picking people up at legal appointments and all of that.
I don't think most people are. I'm not disgusted by that, and I think most of my listeners aren't.
Well, if you were up close to these stories, let me tell you. I'm going to tell you about two cases I'm working on. One is a guy from Venezuela entered the country legally seeking asylum. ICE came to his house in February and said, we got to process you. He left his 6-year-old son with a neighbor because he thought he was going to be back the same day. He's still detained, and ICE called CPS and put his son in foster care, special needs kid. Another case I'm working on is a family of asylum seekers entered the country legally. They went to their check-in. They were detained, and they've been separated. Dad sent to one facility, mom sent to another, and the two little girls who are ages 4 and 10 are by themselves in a shelter at a completely separate facility. These are cases I am working on. I know these people. These are real. This is the reality of what is happening. And if you're cool with that, I'm not cool with you.
Well, I'm cool with that because in the asylum process from Venezuela, you had to skip over like 12 countries that you could.
You are cool. You are cool with our country taking a family of people who have committed no crime and a 4 and a 10-year-old little girl, putting them in a detention center, taking them away from their parents for no reason.
Well, you say they've committed no crime. Maybe it hadn't been adjudicated in a court of law. But
why do you assume that they've committed a crime? They have not been arrested for a crime. They have no criminal history. That's what I'm telling you.
Because
the mental gymnastics that you have to make to convince yourself that this is okay. These are not bad people.
Listen, here's what it sounds like to me.
Them terribly.
There's people.
You are a human being, and you need to understand this. I'm serious.
Let me explain.
You guys, what you tell yourselves to make this okay, you have to just stop and take a breath and go, am I actually okay with a 4 and a 10-year-old being ripped away from their parents who have done nothing wrong? Sincerely, are you okay with that, you and your listeners?
Okay, so
why?
Okay, I'll explain. So we have a process of legal immigration by which people,
and that's what they're doing. They came in legally. These people came in with permission, and they went to their appointment, and they got detained, and they have not been arrested for a crime.
Okay, so there's a process by which you can legally immigrate here, the old-fashioned way, not the new wave a wand and I'm granted asylum
No,
way.
We've had asylum in our laws since after World War II. 70 years this has been part of our legal system.
Sure. Understood.
So it's not something newfangled. They're not jumping some line.
The rules never change on who gets asylum when?
They are doing everything right.
The rules haven't changed on how the asylum laws are applied.
I've had it. Like you guys talking about these people deserve this is unconscionable.
You haven't even let me finish.
Human beings and little children, and God forbid something like this ever happens to you or your family or your children or any of your listeners' children. It is not okay the way we are treating these families. Is completely unacceptable.
Okay, so from my observation, there are people that come here not following the traditional legal process, waiting in line.
But I'm telling you that they are, and you are.
Why don't you let me finish this sentence? Because you're uncomfortable with me finishing the sentence. Because it's been the observation.
You're twisting my words.
No, I'm not twisting anybody's words. I am
telling you they did it legally. I'm telling you they did it legally, and you keep asserting that they are not. And I'm telling you they did.
So there is the traditional way that people come in here where they say, I want to apply, and they have to wait in line and fill out all this paperwork. And then there's the asylum process that's different, right?
Why is asylum non-traditional when we've had it for 70 years? What makes it non-traditional to you?
Well, because the asylum means you don't have to go through that process that so many other people did. This gives you a chance to go ahead and come here and illegally, and then you get declared to be legal because you claim asylum. And so
Look,
all of a sudden that makes you legal.
Some people immigrate here through employment. Some people immigrate here through family. Some people get a diversity visa. Some people apply for asylum. Just because someone is seeking protection and they fled danger in their country does not make them bad or wrong or worse or a different type of immigrant. I'm telling you, the type of person who comes here to protect their family is a good person.
Thank you. This is Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch, immigration attorney at Lincoln-Goldfinch Law.